All right, so in lesson 59 here, we're going to be using a new formula called the law of sines. Very, very useful. It's going to be help us solve a lot of different problems in trig. But this helps us when we know, say, two angle measures and one side and you're missing another side. All right, so this is something where, and what's nice about the law of sines is you don't need a right triangle. So sometimes we always saw like using systems of equations to solve problems, but now we can do it. We can do the same type of problem with the law of sines instead. All right, so we're gonna do that now. You'll see how it works. So here's basically how the law of sines works. And here it is. It's A over the sine of A equals B over the sine of B equals C over the sine of C. Basically, you just got to know what all these represent. A, B, and C, lowercase, are the sides of the triangle, and the uppercase letters are the angles. So, and they're always opposite of each other. We talked about that before. So here in example 1, instead of A, B, and C, it's E, D, and F. So it would be E over sine E, sine capital E, equals D over sine D equals F over sine F. And you would just use two at a time. You don't need to have three equalities. You could just set up a proportion like ratio equals ratio. You'll kind of see how it works here. So in triangle DEF, the measure of angle D is 56 and measure of angle E is 44. And D, little d, is 37.5. Little d is opposite of angle D. So here's angle D. If you draw out opposite, that's 37.5. That's not opposite like of a right triangle because we don't have a right triangle. We don't have a 90-degree angle. But it's the opposite side. Now, that's the key. You got to have a side and an opposite angle that you know. So we know this angle and we know the opposite side. You must know two things. You can't have a variable there. So it's 37.5 over sine 56, sine of 56, equals, now I want to find E. Okay, well, E is opposite of angle E. It's right there. This is side E. That's what they want us to find. So it's going to be equals E, little e, over the sine of E. Well, the sine of E is the opposite angle. So it's sine of 44. And that's basically what you're going to do. You're going to cross multiply and solve just like we do all the time. So you're going to cross multiply this. You're going to get 37.5 times the sine of 44 equals E times the sine of 56. And then we're solving for E, so we're going to divide by the sine of 56. And that cancels out. Divide by sine 56. And we're going to put this right in our calculator here. All right? Throw this right in our calculator. 37.5 times the sine of 44 divided by the sine of 56. Make sure you close parentheses on all your angles. Like if you do sine of 44, you got to close your parentheses. Make sure you close it. Sine of 56, close your parentheses. Good habits to get into. So literally you type this right in your calculator and E equals, I did it ahead of time just to save you time so you don't have to see me typing in on a video, 31.4. So you're going to practice this in class tomorrow, typing in and getting these answers. If you don't have a calculator with you now. If you got one, if you got your phone and it turns scientific, turn it and just make sure you're getting the same answer as me. So if you want to try this on your own, you could pause the video and try it. Otherwise, pay attention. Now we're going to solve for all missing parts. All right, well, we know this angle, we know this angle, we know the opposite side. So there it is. When you have an angle in the opposite side, that tells you can use the law of sines. So it's going to be 25 over sine 106. That's going to be our anchor. That's going to be very helpful for us. And now we can solve for anything else. So since I know this angle is 45, I could find its opposite side, and we're going to call that little b because it's opposite of angle B. So we're going to say little b over sine of 45. So it's always side over the opposite angle, side over the opposite angle. Cross multiply, 25 sine 45 25 times the sine of 45 equals b times the sine of 106. And I want to solve for b, so I'm going to divide by the sine of 106. Whatever you want to solve for, you divide by the other thing that's with it. Just like in any other equation you would solve. And again, you just type this in your calculator. B equals 18.4. Did this ahead of time. 18.4. Now, it said to find all missing parts. So what else do we know? Well, I have two angles of the triangle already. If you have two angles, you could find the third angle because the three angles have to add up to 180. So if this is 106 and this is 45, you add them up and subtract from 180, and it comes out to be 29. So that's 29 just because, again, the three angles have to add up to 180. Now I could find, because I have opposite here and I have opposite here, I could find A now. So I'm going to do the same thing. 25. Let me switch colors. So I'm going to do 25 over the sine of 106, because that's the same opposite pair that I know works. And that's going to equal A over the sine of 29, because the opposite angle. Same thing. 25 sine 29 equals A sine 106. Divide by sine 106. I'm going to put this in our calculator. 25 sine 29. Enter, divide by sine 106, and A is going to be 12.6. So we actually found everything that was missing. We had missing side 18.4. This is 18.4. This is 12.6, and then this angle was 29. All right, now this one here requires us to find that third angle first, because here's the side, and we need that opposite angle. Remember, you got to have a side with an opposite angle. That angle is 59. That angle is 59, just because the three angles of the triangle have to add up to 180. All right, so we're going to do 9 over the sine of 59 equals, now let's say we want to find B, right? Side B right here. All right, little b over the sine of 57. Okay, now cross multiply. B sine 59 equals 9 sine 57. Divide by sine of 59. B equals 9 times sine 57 over sine 59. Divide that out, and you get 8.8. And one more here. We want to find side C. So again, we're going to use 9 over the sine of 59. Again, 9 over, let me just separate this. 9 over the sine of 59, just like we did up here, all right, equals, now this time it's C, so we got to use the opposite angle, which is 64, over the sine of 64. So C sine 59 equals 9 sine 69. Divide by sine 59. I can't write on this thing. Alright, and then put that in your calculator. C equals 9.4. So we were able to find all the missing sides and angles of the triangle. Last one. A distress signal from ship S. This is S over here, guys. I know it didn't copy very well. I think it got cut off by the hole punch for you. Is received by two Coast Guard stations located 3.8 miles apart. So here's the two stations, A and B, and they are located 3.8 miles apart. 3.8 miles apart. From station A, the signal makes an angle of 48 degrees with the coastline. So angle A is 48. And from station B, the signal makes an angle of 67 from the coastline. So that's 67. Again, three angles add up to 180. If you know two of them, you know three of them. Just subtract from 180. It's 65. I need that because that's opposite of the side that I know. So I'm going to do 3.8 over sine 65. I didn't even read the question. I know I'm doing that. Equals what? Well, what am I trying to find? Find the distance from the ship to the nearest station. Well, the ship is closer to B than it is to A. So we're actually finding this right here. So we'll call it x over, and then the opposite angle is 48. Sine of 48. So we didn't even use the 67 in our proportion, but we needed it to get the 65. All right, x sine 65 equals 3.8 sine 48. And then divide by sine 65. Hopefully you got the hang of the law of sines. X equals 3.1 miles. So the ship is 3.1 miles from station B. All right, we will see you tomorrow for some practice.